Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our third class on presentation skills, and today we will be discussing gestures and postures. As you know, before we talked about the meaning of presentation skills, what are they, and the meaning of eye contact and facial expressions as two main aspects in any presentation. Today we will move to talk about gestures and postures, which are two other main factors of body language. And here we go. This is the agenda of today. Today, we will be discussing gestures overview, basic rules for gestures use, what are the proper gestures and improper gestures, postures, good postures, and poor postures at the same time, and then we're gonna sum up. All right. If we have a look here at this quotation, let's read it together. The first language humans had was gestures. During the age of silence, people communicated more, not less. Basic survival demanded that the hands were almost never still, and so it was only during sleep, and sometimes not even then, that people were not saying something or other. No distinction was made between the gestures of language and the gestures of life. Nicole Caras. Alright, we need to understand from this quotation that gestures have been the first form of sign language that ever existed on the surface of Earth. Like before people could get to the meaning of language, before they even could get to the language itself when it comes to linguistics, the meanings of language, the words, they had the sign language. The cavemen, the stone men could actually, in the Stone Age, could actually only communicate together through sign language. There is nothing called words. So if they want to talk together, if you want to communicate together, they would just like move their hands and arms, and they express everything, every emotion with their faces, and they would do whatever it takes in order to show the message they want to deliver. There was no wording whatsoever back then, and that's what the lady is trying to say here, that the first language that the universe ever had was gestures. Gestures here means what? Hand movements, like sign language. This was the first language ever. And it was during the age of silence. It was during the age when no one could ever talk. There was no language whatsoever. There was just this sign language. Excuse me. Alright, let's move here. Accordingly, gestures are an important tool for a presenter. The challenge is to make gestures support the speaking, reinforcing ideas. What do we mean by that? It means that gestures are one of the most significant and important tools for any presenter in a presentation. The presentation wouldn't be complete if there is no gestures, if the presenter is not moving his hands, if the presenter is not moving his own hands and arms in order to help support the idea. And of course, we have do's and don'ts and meanings in the gestures. I mean, every single gesture any presenter makes has a meaning. So if you look here at this picture, steepling. Steepling is like when you put your palms together with your fingers, as you can just see here. This means self-confidence. You're confident. Intellectual arrogance means that you believe so highly of yourself, your abilities, your mental abilities. You believe that you have more culture than people around you. You believe you have more knowledge than people around you. You're so confident of yourself and your abilities to the extent that you are arrogant. Arrogant means you are too proud of yourself. And hand clasp, the hand clasp, as you see here, when you're like holding your fingers together, it means you're anxious, you're nervous, or you are controlled. Controlled means someone's controlling your ideas, someone's controlling you in a way or another, someone's controlling your talk. So you're either nervous or you're controlled. What about the nose touch? If you touch your nose, you start touching your nose like this, it means you are doubting, you are in doubt, you're not sure, you're not certain about any piece of information. What about the L-chin wrist? The L-chin wrist, as you can see here, this is what we do with our hands. So you raise your finger like this, and I think we know this gesture very well. It means you're evaluating. Critical evaluation means you are evaluating a situation, or you're looking at someone with an evaluation, look. So you're just trying to understand something and evaluate it in your mind. So this is the L-chin wrist. What about the mouth block? Mouth block, if you block your mouth with your hands or with the glasses, as you see here, it means you're resisting speech. You don't want to talk. You're trying not to talk. You're trying to stay silent, because if you do, some damage might happen. All right? So these are the meanings of these gestures. So every single gesture has a meaning, and every presenter does. Any gesture in the presentation means to tell you something, means to tell his audience something.